What is a wrestling tournament actually for? Because if you don't answer that question, you can't really, it's going to be hard for you to judge either show, right? And once you do answer it, once you remember what King of the Ring was built to do, you start to realize WWE isn't running that tournament anymore for the most part. They're running its most basic form of it. And somehow the company that didn't invent it is doing it a little better with the Owen Hart. Shit. There you go. Will Ospreay winning his Owen Hart first match at Double or Nothing. But besides talking about that, we're also going to talk about King of the Ring. As always, welcome to the Tea Drop, where the brew is strong and there's lots to talk about this week. So this week, we're going to talk about both companies running a tournament, right? And what tournament am I talking about, guys? Well, WWE this week kicked off the King and Queen of the Ring. AEW ran the Owen Hart Cup, and they've been running that since Double or Nothing a few weeks back. Same kind of concept on paper, bracket, some eliminations, and they crown a winner. And that winner gets something on the future. Now, on the WWE side, we have some information that has been updated this week. Obafemi advances out of a fatal four-way, going through Solo Sikoa, Penta, and Carmelo Hayes. Io Sky on the women's side punched her ticket past Roxanne Perez, Julia, and Lash Legend. Over on SmackDown, Dominic Mysterio got past Damian Priest, Braun Breaker, and Trick Williams with a healthy assist, as always, from the Judgment Day, setting up a Dominic versus Obafemi in the semis. I wonder where that's going to land. Now, it's kind of interesting with this because if you guys been watching King of the Ring for a while now, even through the early 2000s, maybe you had a chance to see some from the 90s in videos if you weren't born around that time. King of the Ring was always a one-on-one tournament. It starts with a fatal four-way, then it goes to the semis just like that. It was always one-on-one. It had a quarterfinal, a semifinal. It went over a several span of weeks. But now, WWE doesn't do it that way, which it's interesting. It's been going on like that for 2 years now. Now, when it comes to AEW, on the Owen side, not surprisingly, Willow Nightingale had to drop out of the tournament due to injury. We covered that in a previous video. And they, instead, at Double or Nothing, the first match they did for the women's side at the Owens Hart tournament is Mina Shirakawa versus Athena, while Will Ospreay went against Samoa Joe, and they had a Swerve Strickland go against Bandito, which was a phenomenal match. Now, who replaces Willow Nightingale to go against Alex Windsor? Well, we found out this week. It was Mercedes Moné. She comes back and is what they consider that empty spot now as the women's wildcard. So she is in the competition, while Will Ospreay rolling into the men's final. And the TNA champ Kevin Knight officially throwing in with Don Callis. 2 tournaments, same time. But here's the thing nobody wants to talk about. And this is basically the importance of this video. What is a wrestling tournament actually for? Because if you don't answer that question, you can't really, it's going to be hard for you to judge either show, right? And once you do answer it, once you remember what King of the Ring was built to do, you start to realize WWE isn't running that tournament anymore for the most part. They're running its most basic form of it. And somehow the company that didn't invent it is doing it a little better with the Owen Hart. Let me show you what I'm talking about, so strap in. Let's go back to the King of the Ring. The King of the Ring started in 1995. Don Morocco won the first one. And in those early years, from 85 through 91, the entire bracket rang in a single night. It was 8 people, sometimes 16 men on one show. Last man standing gets the crown. That format was important because a tournament in one night is pretty much a gauntlet match. You watch a guy survive 3 matches, you watch him bleed and dig deep, and by the end of the night, he's earned something in front of your eyes. Then think about what that machine produced when it comes to the King of the Ring. In 1996, a relatively unknown heel wins the tournament. He grabs the mic and says 4 words that change business forever. Austin 316 says, while it is a trophy for most to win this, for some, they can take this and it could be the birth of the biggest star in wrestling history. And it happened like this situation, it happened because the tournament was a launch pad. The crown for the king and queen of the ring was never the point, to be honest. The coronation of a future main eventer was the point. Bret Hart in 93, Owen Hart himself won the 94 tournament. It wasn't a coincidence, but we'll come back to it. Triple H, Brock Lesnar in 2002, going straight to a world title shot. For 2 decades, King of the Ring meant something because winning it told you, this person is next. It always doing single matches helped give more matches, give more exposure to these people that you're trying to show in front of the screen. And by the time the person that wins, you've seen them enough that for the most part, hopefully, the people gravitate towards and back them up. That's why it's important to do singles, to me. Doing fatal 4-ways really doesn't give that much opportunity to spotlight these wrestlers like it properly should with a one-on-one match. It's kind of a way to get them to, all right, we've seen a lot of you wrestling, a lot of your wrestling, we're really interested, or we're not. And maybe they have a last-minute pivot that can change that, but they were really interested. But now Fatal 4-Way gives you less exposure for those wrestlers. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, because the value was never the bracket. The value was the story also the story the bracket told, that you had to go through hell, beat real opponents one by one, and prove you belonged at the top. Give you a real reason why you should have a future world title if that's the opportunity you get. That's the DNA, at least to my opinion. Now hold that thought when it comes to this. So what happened? What happened that King of the Ring changed? Well, one of the things that you can say is, well, King of the Ring disappeared after a certain year and never came back until sporadic appearances, and when it did, it really didn't matter. It wasn't until recently when Triple H brought it back that now it has a connection to a future title shot at SummerSlam. Great. 2 things can be connected with it as well. The first one is the format got chopped up. Once WWE stopped running the bracket as an event and started sprinkling qualifiers across random episodes of Raw and SmackDown, the tournament stopped feeling like a journey and started feeling like homework. Even the fans clocked it. You can read it in the threads. How did the King of the Ring become so irrelevant in the modern era of WWE? Always boggles my mind how King of the Ring was never truly used as the summer version of the Rumble. Instead of focusing in on making someone a king gimmick for an X amount of months, it should always have been used to kick off the summer, with the winner being the #1 contender for SummerSlam. Now, this finally happened once Triple H redid it, but before, that was the gimmick. Xavier Woods, I'm a king. Zelina Vega, I'm a king. King Booker, I'm a king, but I think he got a title shot regardless. And again, king moniker. Wade Barrett, I think, was a king too. And then they're saying only for Brock and Owen Hart. King Mabel got a shot in Diesel in 95. Yeah, I forgot about that. The king doesn't get a real prize for winning, maybe a stupid gimmick. Give the King of the Ring an IC title shot. So this was 3 years ago too. So little do they know it gave a heavyweight title shot. And then someone pointed out, because the guys they booked to win aren't the guys they care to push. The reason it used to mean something is because it was a launching pad for talent. They wanted to push to move on to the bigger and better things. Now it just gives people that are stuck permanently in the mid card something to do. They don't care about it enough anymore to make it mean anything. Vince reportedly hates tournaments, and that's why they discarded it as a pay-per-view concept to begin with. I also think the tournament lost a bit of its aura when they stopped booking the quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals all in one night. Having to win 3 matches in one night to call yourself the King of the Ring felt like something special. Having to win only 2 matches in one night doesn't. And it's true. Part of the beauty of King of the Ring, and I think one of the most greatest examples that I've seen was, I believe in 2002 or 2001, don't quote me on this, is when Kurt Angle won. He went through hell. He went through several matches and eventually won. But it was all in one night. 3 or more matches, gauntlet match, I get it. It's a gauntlet match type of setup, but it gives people the belief that, yeah, that person deserves it because they went through hell. And if you want to sell it even more, guess what? They end up in a bracket against someone crazy. Like, I don't know, like Dominic's about to with Obafemi. For the most part, everyone's going to think Obafemi is going to win. But you never know. Maybe it'll be surprised. But imagine that. You go against a powerhouse, you survive it, but you're beaten up. But guess what? In about 20 or so minutes, you got to go into another match. Kurt Angle, by the last match, he was taped up, I believe, and everything, but people believed in it. They hated him, but they believed that he was a real threat. And the same thing goes for other stars. But anyway, it got chopped up, and now it doesn't even matter anymore. But we can talk about a deeper problem besides that. The one thing that's the hill to die on. Look at the 2026 first round. Like I said before, it's not one-on-one. It's fatal four-way. Obafemi beats 3 men in one match. Fatal four-way, you don't have to beat all the other 3. You have to just pin one. How is that proof that you are better than the rest? That you're capable, you're so good that you're able to now face the champ? How is that possible? The Royal Rumble is better because at least for the most part, if you win and you're a lower number, you are going through hell, beating through different wrestlers. You're getting chopped up, stomped on, power drived on, suplexed on. And if you survive all that, yeah, it sells you so well that you are capable of doing it. This doesn't, because it could be out of luck. It's not a creative choice. It's a calendar choice. WWE has stacked its year. What do I mean by that? WWE stacked their year with premium live events. Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, Mania, Backlash, the Saudi shows, Money in the Bank, SummerSlam, the Saturday night main events in between, Clash of Italy, literally almost 2 or 3 weeks apart from each other. Barely any time to let stories develop, let feuds develop. It's all rush, 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 rush. There's no runway left between shows to actually run a proper bracket, let alone a story. So instead of going instead of giving you 8 single matches that breathe over a few weeks, they cram 4 people in one match to clear the first round. No one's winning except WWE and TKO. They are able to do something quick, but the fans don't win. They don't get to enjoy the matches because it's just fatal four-way. It's all over the place sometimes. It's only meant for certain conditions. For a King of the Ring tournament, it should always be one-on-one. But that's me. The tournament has to be done by a date, and that's the reason why they're rushing it. So the format bends to that date, which is Night of Champions on June 27th. But instead of doing that, why isn't WWE instead, as soon as WrestleMania ends, right, you start the King of the Ring tournament, or make Night of Champions Queen of the Ring type of event? Meaning maybe some champs compete. Not all champs have to compete in a Night of Champions. They never did in the past. But instead, you run the tournament there. At least 3 matches, 3 gauntlet matches, meaning whoever wins went through 3 matches that night. Quarterfinals, semifinals, finals. And you can do qualifiers for those quarterfinals between the day after WrestleMania and before the Night of Champions. That way, stories can be built, belief in people competing can be made, and then people will gravitate towards these people. And maybe there will be an attachment that will get fans riled up for these stories. But when you do stuff like this, it doesn't work. And that's the tell. In what universe does a fatal four-way first round develop a future main eventer? To me, it does quite the opposite. It eliminates 3 of them in one match, sure. 3 potential stories, 3 potential star turns though. Gone in a single fall because there wasn't enough time on the calendar to tell them. Whose fault is that though? It's not the wrestlers. Why isn't WWE managing their time better? You took a star development system and turned it into a check mark, as far as I can see. And then you blame the stars that you guys are not performing well. Here's a 50% cut, right? Or you're not good enough because you haven't shown your value and that's why we don't put you in matches. Well, I gotta release you. How can the wrestlers fight for their spot if you guys don't give them the opportunity to fight for a spot? It bots WWE ticks so they can just say, we did King of the Ring this year. That's all it is for them. We did King of the Ring this year. Here are the highlights, guys, on social media. Look how cool it is. Look how much traction we're getting. Would you guys like to sponsor us for future events so we can take money from you, so we can give it to the TKO shareholders? 2 things can be true at the same time when it comes to all this. The matches themselves can be good, but Femi is a monster, which is important and it's always true. And the structure can be broken, both at once though. The wrestlers are doing their jobs. The format is failing them though. Now, look at what AEW does with the Owen Hart Cup and understand why it's named that. This tournament exists in partnership with the Owen Hart Foundation and Martha Hart, which is Owen Hart's wife. It is here to honor a man who won King of the Ring himself in 1994. The intent is baked into the name. This is supposed to be about legacy and earning it yourself. And mechanically, it is the old format of King of the Ring. Single elimination, one by one. Will Ospreay doesn't beat 3 guys in one night though, unfortunately, but he goes through opponents individually. And each match gets to be its own story. Now, that's the difference. Now, I don't like either that the Owen Hart Foundation, I wish it could be a gauntlet set up too, but, that's a way. AEW can't exactly copy tit for tat WWE type of matches. This is the best they can do, and you know what? It works for them. It develops stories towards All In, because at the end of the day, these people that win in the past, they used to not get anything, but recently they got a title opportunity at All In, and it was great. It built stories for them. That's the difference. That's a match when it comes to one-on-one, and it's not a pileup. When Ospreay advances, you watch him earn it against one person who got to look like a real threat. When Mercedes Moné runs it back as a wild card, there's a thought line with that. She's the standard everyone's chasing because she was a previous winner. The bracket tells a story across weeks instead of clearing a round in one bell. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's perfect, because it isn't. AEW books too many tournaments sometimes. The Owen, the Continental Classic, the casino stuff that they do. It can blur together sometimes, and Tony Khan's booking can get busy at times. But when it comes to this, I feel it can always be that the Owen Hart Cup is the better design tournament, and AEW occasionally dilutes it by running too much. But at least it's a better result, in my opinion. I'll give them that because it helped build some characters along the way. But on the core question, does this format do what a tournament's supposed to do? Build wrestlers in front of people and make you buy in on their wrestling ability, their promo skills, or whatever you are more into when it comes to watching these people on TV. The Owen Hart Cup is, to me, at this point in time, the closer descendant of the 1996 King of the Ring, or any time of the 90s King of the Ring, even the 80s, even the early 2000s before they shut it down the first time. WWE's own King of the Ring in 2026, it feels so different. The students, that is AEW, became the heir of the most recent, most classical one-on-one talent development tournament there is out there. And you can see it in real time for the past couple of weeks now. Now, look, I want to be straight with you because I want to be straight when it comes to why I even care about this too much, because it's easy to write this off as nitpicky. I get it. People probably in the comments when this clip gets done, oh, you're nitpicky or whatever. AEW is this, FAEW, FWWE, you guys will go at it. But I want you to hear, omit that and just look at the formats and you judge without seeing the labels. Judge the format. I care because the tournament that made Stone Cold is the same kind of tournament that could make the Nets one, or the Nets Owen Hart, or the Nets Bret Hart, or the Nets Kurt Angle, or even the Nets Brock Lesnar, whichever one you thought was a great tournament. These formats help build these new talents. That's the whole magic of this business when it came to those tournaments. You watch somebody become someone right in front of you. That's the moment that hooks a kid for life. That moment for Stone Cold in 96 wouldn't have happened if he didn't do the tournament. Or, there were circumstances in addition to that, but we needed that tournament to make it happen, right? And now it's etched in history because of it. Now that's wrestling for the marks, by the mark. When you reduce that to a 4-way speed round to fit the calendar of your busy PLE schedule that you can't figure out how to make it work, you're not just running a worse match. You're robbing the next generation of superstars of that moment that they can get by doing these single matches. And honestly, that's really what's bugging me when it comes to this. And it's not the booking, it's the lost opportunity these wrestlers can have. And when I see AEW protecting the idea, even imperfectly, under the Owens Hart's Name Foundation tournament, of all people, it tells me somebody over there still remembers what these things are for. Now, here's where I land on this, and we'll end this here. King of the Ring isn't dead because the wrestlers got worse. It's hollow because WWE squeezes its own calendar so tight that the format had to bend. And a tournament built to crown a future legend got demoted to a 4-way checkmark. Meanwhile, the Owen Hart Cup, named for a man who won, King of the Ring himself, quietly kept the original blueprint: one-on-one, earn it, build a star. Not perfect, but truer to the point. Now, WWE obviously owns the name at this point, but in all honesty, AEW kept the soul of that tournament, what it truly means. But anyway, so you tell me, which to you at this point in time is the better tournament format? Is it King of the Ring or the Owen Hart Cup? And don't just vote to defend its sake because you're a WWE only purist or an AEW only purist. Like, be true to yourself. Look at the tournament, look what it's supposed to do, and tell me if you're getting the results you expect from them. And you can be honest. Tell me where I'm wrong or tell me where I'm right. I'll hear your thoughts. I'll hear you out. That's the whole point of talking about this as a community and see hopefully what can be done better or what we can hope from this business. But anyway, drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to see where everyone lands on this. As always, if the tea hit right, hit the like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video.